What's going on, Whisper Nation? Thanks for joining us this Friday afternoon, November 5th. We are going over all of the news and notes from around the NFL, letting you know what up-to-date news is going to be impacting your fantasy team as well as your favorite NFL team. We're going to be taking questions from the entire community and answering all of those lineup questions, trade questions, favorite Thanksgiving meal questions at the end of the show, but we'll be getting to all of your fantasy relevant ones while we're working through each one of those teams. But let's get to the meat of this thing. Let's make it happen, guys.
Right here.
All right. Up. There we are. We got that intro out of the way. I am Austin Sear. You can find me on Twitter right there. It's Austin_R_Sear. And then also on the other mics, we got Big Travie. You can follow him on Twitter at Big Travie TFW. And Johnny, of course, in the bottom box there at Johnny_Game Time. It's great to have you with me, boys, here, along with the rest of Whisper Nation. Jumping right here to Rush's question. Austin, did you see the latest Rodgers comments? No, I haven't yet seen the latest Rodgers comments. I'm wearing my Green Bay Packers hat. I'm not wearing my Aaron Rodgers jersey. That is a conscious choice. We're going to go ahead now and move on to the first section here with Travis and Johnny here. Big Travie, I wanted to get your take on some of the big news that we got. We're going to start off with the take of Odell Beckham Jr. We got Odell Beckham. I mean, you have had such a close relationship with him. It feels like for the last 2, 3, 4 years in so many of our leagues. I wanted to kind of get your take on the news and the release and everything going on there first, Travie.
Yeah, I wish I had a closer relationship with OBJ, kind of like I was Drake or something. I hung out with him, but for sure,
you shower together.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, man, but I definitely am invested, as you said, with OBJ across multiple leagues. Have been for the last few years, as you said. And look, the talent, I feel like we are chasing a lot of what he did in New York. Obviously, the talent is still there in a lot of ways. He just has not been on the same page with Baker. That's been apparent since he got there. It was always going to be a tough fit for OBJ in Cleveland, obviously. Now we have a situation where he will get cut. They came to a resolution. They moved his, I believe, his bonus into base salary and things like that so that they could maneuver this deal. And now he'll go to waivers. And I believe we have the top 10 teams are in order are Detroit, Miami, Houston, Jacksonville, the Jets, Washington football team, the Giants, Eagles, Seahawks, and Bears. Now, this will all depend on if they have the cap room. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but you look at the idea is this, he will get work again, whether it's if he clears waivers here or if he gets to choose his spot. And I have to think that a lot of places are going to be better than the fractured relationship that he was dealing with Baker Mayfield. So if you've held him so far, I think you should hold on a little bit longer. The earliest that he can clear waivers is 4 p.m. Eastern on Monday. So that's the time frame we're looking at. It looks like you'll probably know kind of what's going on with him, I would hope, by waivers, so you could hold him through this week.
Yeah, a great breakdown and layout on the next step of processes and how we kind of got here. Johnny, I wanted to ask you your take here on Odell, and I wanted to kind of frame it in context of your boy, Antonio Brown. I was talking to Philly Chelsea last night about Odell, and she's like, what is his deal? Is he really a problem? I'm like, well, he's not the solution all the time in the locker room, but I don't have a big feeling that Odell is the problem. He might be a problem, but the context might just not also be right. And I'm not going to say he's as far as Antonio Brown in terms of the problematic qualities he might bring to the locker room or a situation. But my point with the Antonio Brown comparison is that, yeah, it was working really well for a long time there over in Pittsburgh. And then he went to Las Vegas and it didn't work out there. For whatever reason, John Gruden, the culture, whatever it might have been. So then he goes over to New England with Tom Brady, and it's kind of working there for a little bit, and then it's not. And then he comes to Bruce Arians and Tom Brady's Tampa Bay Bucks, and we haven't heard anything. It's been a totally different story, minus the injury. It's been phenomenal. And that's how I was kind of looking at an Odell, where he's not a problem anywhere he goes. Yeah, it's going to have to be the right situation, the right quarterback, the right balance of egos and playbook and whatnot. But I think that he could be landing in a spot and still have a great rest of his career and make a lot of impacts for fantasy teams and NFL teams. Do you think so, or do you have a different take on that, Johnny?
I think he definitely could, right? We've seen it before. I think it's an interesting comparison. Obviously, we got to see where he lands to really see what the true potential is for OBJ. But what's interesting is and this sounds terrible. Like, I like OBJ. Don't get me wrong. I do think he's fun to watch. He is really talented. But stats don't lie. And the stats are just saying, like, OBJ is just an okay, like, he's okay. He's fine.
Stats don't lie, but do they tell the truth?
I mean, when you're looking at OBJ, it's hard to say that they're not telling the truth. When you look at since, I get it, since 2014 through 2016, unbelievable. Like, he was like unguardable. But since 2007, when you kind of got that injury, right? He only played 4 games, but since coming back from that, he's only played 16 games one time since then. And check this out. These are total yards, right? 1,000 yards in 2018, 1,000 yards in 2019, 319 yards last year, 232 yards so far this season. So, like, he's really not, I mean, he's not the wide receiver that he was the first couple of years in the league. He's more so kind of riding on the coattails of what he did in the first few years. And honestly, like, I hope he goes to a better situation, but it's just like you're looking at it, and it's like he might not have it anymore. He might not be.
Stefanski's ranks of passing attempts in Minnesota and Cleveland have both been bottom 5 in passing attempts. So I think
he's getting the targets. It's not like he's not getting targets. Even when he had over 1,000 yards, right? Like, he's getting 133 targets, 124 targets, 169 targets. Like, he's getting massive amounts of targets. He's just not producing. He's just not as good as we thought he was. That's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, I don't know if that book is written just yet. I don't know if you can say Baker, who really, other than his rookie season, hasn't been really top tier. And you're going to say that it's all on the target volume. Yeah, the targets were there for a few years for sure. But how many of those balls have been catchable? I think 62% is what I saw on Twitter from somebody reported, which was 60. I think that was ranked 62 out of 62 eligible receivers with minimum attempts. So
it's kind of
but here's the thing: is he could do it. He's doing it with other people. So at what point is it like it's not the person's the people?
Does he have a publicly soured relationship with any of these other people? Because the only person I've heard of a publicly soured relationship with Odell Beckham is between him and Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield almost seems like, to me, is trying to make a point on Baker Mayfield by getting Jarvis the ball, getting other wide receivers the ball, and then not getting Odell the ball. There definitely seems to be some ego-driven decisions that are going on here. Oh, we got to go ahead. We got Oscar. We got Whisper Nation jumping in here, but we got to go ahead and hit our boy Oscar, who just blessed us with a super chat. OBJ to Eagles confirmed. Hopefully. Woo!
Let's go.
Love that. Thanks for joining us, Oscar. And that would be fun, man. That would just be a fun squad. I don't know if it'd be good. Eagles can't get anything together right now, but it would still be a sexy ass looking roster. So
it would definitely help them a lot for sure. Having Smith as your second now, OBJ as your 1 alpha. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to be jumping into all of your questions, Whisper Nation. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you're enjoying what you're listening to and you hope to get more of it, hit that subscribe button over on YouTube and hit us with that thumbs up. That helps this program grow. And the subscribe means you're going to be getting notifications about all of our content. And we have that coming 6 out of 7 days a week your way. But boys, you ready to move on to some football conversations?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at last night's game between the New York Football Jets and the Indianapolis Colts. And right off the bat, I got to give Johnny you a major shout out, because on the Thursday night preview show with stepmom Lauren, you made a bold and confident call on Nyheim Hines having a Nyheim Hines day, one of 2 he gets of the year. You put your flag in yesterday, and he had a pretty good day, and that worked out for you and your fantasy team, right?
Yeah, it was really nice. Like I said, if you're desperate, like I was, and I said that in the live stream, I ended up playing Nyheim last night. And again, it was nice because we were on the live stream show. Go check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. It was a great show. But we were live, and then shortly after that, boys, we got the news that Marlon Mack was a healthy scratch. So when I saw that, I was like, let's go. LFG, let's put it up. And then sure enough, the game comes around, and I'll tell you what, boys, I was telling Travis on prior show before we're meeting. As soon as Nyheim Hines made that cutback, I raised my hand. I was watching it. I raised my hand. I knew it was gone. I knew he was gone. I knew that was the moment. But yeah, it's a great feeling. Hopefully Whisper Nation was able to capitalize on it as well. But yeah, it was fun. Good thirsty Thursday.
Yeah, a little bit of that thirst that was coming in. Travis, did you have any fantasy impacts coming from yesterday's game? Any in any of the
I
leagues
didn't
you're
have
playing?
anything really personal. Well, I did go against Wentz in a couple leagues. I think we went against him in the listener league as well, which was a big ouch. But Wentz, we talked about Wentz as a streamer on the matchup show or on the Thursday night preview show, which I think he was a solid streamer with a 20-point floor. He kind of hit that ceiling at about 30 points in most leagues. And I think that paired with Michael Pittman Jr.'s continued emergence. Like, that guy is continuing to be the alpha for the Indianapolis Colts, making big play after big play. And that touchdown was nice. High pointed the ball, stepped through it. They initially called it incomplete, but it was reviewed that he made 3 steps in the end zone and did what he had to do. So I'm really loving that connection. Wentz to Michael Pittman Jr. It's looking good.
Yeah, Travis, you flagged that a few weeks back, and it's just grown since those comments right there. Speaking of growing, the New York Football Jets quarterbacks yardage marks just keep going up, over 400 yards combined with Mike White and Josh Johnson. Josh Johnson getting 317 of those after the injury to Mike White. I'm not going to make any comments other than it's just like, wow, look at the New York Jets airing the ball out. Interesting there.
You had Elijah Moore coming in and having his rookie debut. That was pretty fun to see.
Good call on the comments yesterday with some of Whisper Nation coming in and mentioning Elijah Moore. I know that none of us on the panel, the 3 of us here plus stepmom Lauren, were up on Elijah Moore. Going to be earning a little bit more consideration moving forward. We've been expecting it, and it was just nice to see somebody have a good day.
Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on from the Thursday night game over to the Arizona Cardinals. Quarterback Kyler Murray's dealing with an ankle. We knew this. He's a game time decision for week 9. DeAndre Hopkins, his favorite wide receiver, remains sidelined for Thursday's practice, aggravating his hamstring in that Thursday loss. And we know that AJ Green has COVID. Johnny, right now, go to the Cardinals fan. Has that little Cardinal over your left shoulder there told you anything about what we should be expecting from the pass catchers this week with the news to Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins?
Yeah, I'm not. I really don't have a good feeling that Kyler Murray's going to play this week. I think it will be Colt McCoy. Kyler hasn't practiced all week. We have known that Cliff has come out and said, Kyler doesn't need to practice at all in order to play. We will see. It is the San Francisco 49ers. I think the Cardinals believe they can win this game without Kyler, get him an extra week's worth of rest. So ultimately, I think he ends up being out, and I would have to say I do think DeAndre Hopkins ends up sitting in this game. But again, he's been a type of player that he never practices, and then he ends up suiting up on Sunday. So we'll have to monitor that much closer over the next 48 hours. We'll know a lot more, but they're truly saying Kyler is a game time decision, which doesn't bode well. And then, like we said, with Hopkins coming in and out of the lineup last week, I just don't think, and not practicing all week, I just don't know if he plays.
Yeah, good breakdown there. Definitely stay monitored and join the Sunday stream an hour and a half before kickoff, where Johnny and Travis are going to be going over all of your lineup questions with more up-to-date information, helping you make those last-minute lineup decisions before the morning games kick off. That's 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, 11:30 Eastern time, 8:30 a.m. Western time, like 4:30 or something Hawaiian time. I'm just playing. 8:30 a.m.
Hold on. Is there
time change?
Yeah, is there time change?
Snap.
Is it this weekend? Because that's what happened to me last weekend. I thought it was last weekend.
I think it is this weekend. I don't know if that actually changes.
I don't even know.
The only change is you, Johnny. It's Arizona, people.
I know. We have to be so complicated.
But it's the same thing. It's always
the
been.
same
It's
time?
8:30. It's 8:30 Pacific time. It's
Right.
11:30 Eastern time, and Arizona just goes from Mountain to Pacific.
Yeah, that's
and back
right.
and forth.
That's right. So it's just 90 minutes before kickoff is the
That's what you. Yeah,
That's what you need to know. And Mr. Miyagi, thanks for hanging with us. I don't know what happened to your comment there. We were talking about it on the private chat, and YouTube's been really weird as of late. We've had a couple of things going down. It's been a little bit funky. And speaking of working through some issues, Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons, has remained away from the team. I don't have any predictions on when he could be coming back. It sounds like it might be a week to week. It could be a season thing. You can't take the possibility of it being a career thing off the table. He wouldn't be the first person we've seen do something like this. is that magic 8 ball, Travi, giving you any insights, or maybe your heart, or maybe is there anything that we should
ask that magic 8 ball?
Is there
Will Calvin
any
Ridley
insight that we
return
have?
this season?
It's such a huge, impactful piece of news with really difficult variables to predict.
Also, we need to ask that thing about OBJ.
Count on it. That's
also,
what it says.
all right. Ask if OBJ is going to Philadelphia Eagles. Ask the 9 ball.
Well, hold on. Let me get the Ridley take in here.
Okay.
So I think if you're a team that's struggling and you need to move on from wide receiver, I don't mind dropping him. We're not going to know exactly the timeline, so you're not going to take a huge bath if it's in 2 weeks. That sucks, but that could be the situation. We just don't know. We have no inside information on this. This is his brain, and he doesn't know, I'm sure, at this point either. And so that's this case. But in some leagues that I am 6-2 or 7-1, I'm feeling good, and I have the bench spot. I've stashed Ridley because people have dropped him, and I think maybe in 3 weeks he gets better and he wants to come back or something, and you could have him for the playoff run. So all of these are possibilities, literally. And as Austin said, he could be done forever. That is still a possibility too. But if you've got the bench spot, there's other stashes that you could burn holes in your roster too that could end up not doing anything as well. So.
Good take. Stay tuned. Keep monitoring the situation. Hang along with us. We're going to be talking about this, I imagine, fairly often as any bit of news comes up. Oh, Oscar, feeling for you on this one. I picked Ridley so high. Yeah, it's a tough one. Hopefully you didn't get him in the second round with Derrick Henry there in the first or something like that. And we're going to be getting to everybody's questions here at the end of the show. Blue Crew, thanks for joining with us and everybody else who's jumping in here. Moving forward now to the Baltimore Ravens, Johnny, where we've got Latavius Murray, who's going to be out for week 9 with an ankle. We know he's out of here. Sammy Watkins did return to practice on Thursday, listed as limited. And we'll see how that continues to develop or develop or unvelop. What's the opposite of develop? Whatever
Unravel.
that is. Unravel. Yeah, we'll see how it develops or unravels. But we got Rashad Bateman, who's coming back as well. So I wanted to get your take, Johnny, here on the Baltimore Ravens playmakers, the running back field, as well as the pass catchers. You getting a bump up for Rashad Bateman if Sammy does sit? Does Sammy even matter? We're firing up Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews. Anybody else to consider?
Sammy doesn't really matter to me. He wasn't making a huge impact. Of course, share for Bateman should go up if Sammy isn't there. I do like Bateman, or what I've seen from Bateman in the limited snaps. We do know the talent. We know what he was doing in preseason. I want to see it develop a little bit more before I'm trusting him fully in my lineup. Again, how much does Lamar really throw the ball a whole lot? But
an update on Bateman: his groin missed practice Friday, so that's something to monitor as well. And that was the injury that kept him out. Was not able to go. So our stock in Bateman, we were wanting to see him, and then obviously Sammy coming back would hurt the snaps, but he's got to be able to get on the field as well. So
that groin is a real piece of news because he's going to be back and not 100%. And that is at such a pivotal point for all of your cuts and top speed abilities and everything. That sucks. Damn, I hate to see that. But I love to see Ronald College jump in here. What's up, boys?
What's up?
Travi, kicking it over to you here in Buffalo. We've got everybody's favorite 5'8" wide receiver. Well, that's not true, actually. I was going to go
Aaron Rodgers' favorite, but
yeah, maybe, right? Cole Beasley's questionable. He's dealing with some ribs. He did have a limited practice on Friday, suggesting he's going to play, but he didn't practice at all the 2 days before that, which shows me he's hurting. He's not feeling great. It's just a rib, though, and he's probably going to play. Dawson Knox is out for week 9. We talked about Beasley being a bit more of a flyer, a true flyer candidate, with Knox being out. A little downgrade with the rib injury. Not a major one, though, as if he's active. Do you think he'd have any less of a role coming in with this news?
You hope that he wouldn't be an injury risk, but he is. With ribs, I would just if I'm in a position where I'm starting Beasley because of the matchup, because of his production with Knox out lately, then I'm still rolling him out there because you're rolling the dice with it at all. But I do think if Beasley were to not go, upgrades to Emmanuel Sanders and also Zach Moss, who you're probably already playing anyways in the positive game script, but 11 targets over the last couple of weeks, so they've been getting Moss more involved in the passing game as well.
For sure. And speaking of the passing game, Johnny, we've got the best pass catching halfback in the NFL, Christian McCaffery. He's been dealing with that hamstring. He's looking truly questionable for week 9. But according to Steve Reed over on Twitter, he quotes head coach Matt Rule saying, "I am hopeful he can play. I really am." Even so, Rule also noted that it would not be a 40 to 50 play situation, presumably limiting McCaffrey if he's active. Given the landscape of available running backs with 4 teams on bye in week 9, even a limited McCaffrey should be viewed as an RB2. That's the NBC Sports Edge report. Do you agree with that? And my other question is, if you had Chuba and CMC, you've been riding Chuba this time, who are you starting this week, Johnny?
Oh, I'm going CMC. I would start even a limited CMC over Chuba would be probably more beneficial. And if I only have Chuba, like if I picked him up off waivers, I've been riding him, I would not play him in this game if CMC does go. Because once again, you've been seeing him be somewhat productive or like a RB2 for you in PPR because he's staying afloat with the amount of volume. If that dips at all, he's not an efficient player that you can lean back on. So I would not put Chuba in my lineup if CMC does ultimately end up playing at all.
And staying with the Carolina Panthers, Travis, Sam Darnold, he's got a shoulder issue. He's got a concussion. He's questionable for week 9. Joe Pearson on Twitter, quoting Matt Rule again, saying that his shoulder is as much of an issue as the concussions in terms of status, which might mean he's playing, but like, he's seeing multiple receivers and his arm doesn't really point to him anymore on an extreme.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is all bad all around. We were talking about Sam Darnold and the depreciation of the offense with him over the last few weeks. Now we're going to get CMC back, but now we're also going to deal with, trying to figure out if CMC was the missing piece for this offense. DJ Moore, I'm thinking of in particular because his numbers have been down with Darnold's struggles. This doesn't help though. This can't be good, and I would be trying to look for other situations, even if Darnold goes in my DJ Moore shares. If you've got other options because you have somebody in a better matchup this week, I think I would go with that.
Don't be surprised if PJ Walker is the quarterback that ends up playing this weekend for him.
They already put PJ Walker in when Sam Darnold was healthy enough to play.
Right. Well, they like
well enough.
PJ Walker, just dating back a little bit, he was coached by Matt Rule, right, in college, was very successful. He also had the chemistry with not Ridley, with now I'm blanking on his name. Anderson, Robbie Anderson. He played with Robbie Anderson in college, so that's why they trust him so much. AAF, he was a big standout at AAF, so it will be fun to watch PJ Walker, and I expect PJ to be the quarterback this weekend.
I love that. I also love Oscar coming in again, hitting us with another super chat. One last one. I am so excited for looks fire. You know what else is fire? A little bit of woo! Got this one here. And we gotta hit Oscar here. He did ask us a question, and I gotta throw this one up there because he's been such a great supporter of the show. Is Ertz a good play then? This was related to I'm sorry, I missed this one. I should have, just because this was related to the Arizona Cardinals, and we're talking about their injuries going on. Do you give Ertz an uptick, Johnny? I see you nodding your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. He's getting more and more involved each and every single week. They obviously, if they're down a lot of pass catchers, then expect a lot more to go to Ertz. But yeah, I like Ertz play this week.
Got it. Yeah, everybody here on the panel does. Everybody on the panel here too, I know, is going to be keeping an eye on David Montgomery, who's playing on Monday night. Chicago Bears running back. The prodigal son returns, and he's going to be getting some work. So we know he's going to be active, it sounds like. I like how Travis put it yesterday's show, saying this might be like a 5 carry kind of day. Everything looks like that's in order. It looks like they're just getting his feet adjusted to the temperature of the water again. But I wouldn't be starting him this week. Is that the right call, Travi?
Yeah, and I just have to say, I don't know. I'm not an NFL coach, but this seems so dumb to me.
I know.
Like, your bye is around the corner, and you're like, we got to get him out there and get him adjusted to this. Bro, adjust him in practice, not against Pittsburgh on Monday night when you have a guy in Khalil Herbert who's done really, really well for you. So why do you need to go? He's not a rookie. He doesn't need reps. He understands how to play football. Like, why are you putting him out there for unnecessary risk if he's not going to be your guy for the game? Now, it would be different if they're like, hey, he's ready to go. Let's start him. I just don't understand why you'd even get him in there, but that's my opinion. Yeah, I wouldn't be starting Montgomery. I'd be starting Herbert if I had to, because I picked him up off waivers. So I'm obviously in that situation where he's, going to be used in my lineup. Plus, he's just been so damn good with the opportunities he's been given. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely here. So then moving on now to another guy recovering from a lower body ailment. That's Jarvis Landry, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, who did return to practice on Thursday, but it looks like he's been working a little bit of rust off of that sprained MCL he suffered back in week 2. Had a few drops last week against Pittsburgh. Some load management on Wednesdays coming in. None of this is really surprising. But the Odell Beckham Jr. news obviously is a little bit surprising. Maybe not surprising, but it's definitely eventful, and it's going to be shifting things up. And Johnny, I wanted to know what you're thinking about Jarvis Landry coming back from ailment, which is not good, but then clearing those targets Odell was getting, which you would presumably would think they're going to Jarvis Landry, at least some of them, which is a good thing. How are you shaking Jarvis Landry now?
So Jarvis Landry, if you're looking at what he did last year, right, without OBJ, he had 4 games over, and again, this is half PPR. So he had 4 games over 13 fantasy points. I mean, you're looking at Potter's even getting upset about this. You're seeing the distribution here of targets. I mean, look, and starting in week 12, 11 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets. So he'll see a big bulk of targets there. The big part that I want to mention is Higgins.
Yeah, that's what Potter was telling you to mention.
I know.
Right?
Yeah,
he was good. Mention Higgins, dude.
Yeah. So Peoples Jones is been dealing with some injuries as of late, and what we did see last year was when OBJ went out, Higgins filled that role, and they have a great connection. So I do think that it is worth a what the heck grab if you need and you want to beat waivers. I would go place my claim in Higgins. He did see some snaps last week. There has been a lot on Peoples Jones, so I don't mind taking a flyer on him. But again, he has been dealing with some injuries and not been getting some playing time. And he hasn't really translated yet from all the hype in the preseason that was coming out for Cleveland. So, but Peoples Jones could be the guy. I would place it more in Higgins just because I've seen it last year, and I know that connection works.
Love that. Good advice there. And Whisper Nation, be sure to tune in again to the Sunday morning live lineup show an hour and a half before kickoff, because we're going to have more information. And these are really important questions, like about Jarvis Landry. Do you start him? Or, say like a guy like CeeDee Lamb who we're rolling into. Do you start him, Travis, because he's been dealing with an ankle and didn't participate in Thursday's practice? This is looking like it's a little bit more of an issue than we thought it was, but we're not panicking just yet, right? It would bring him back, but it looks like he's not hurt enough to not be active or anything, but it's something to still keep monitoring. How are you going about the CeeDee Lamb news, and what do you think that does then for Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott?
So my read isn't that great on this. So here's what I say. McCarthy went on the radio and told us that he felt good about Amari Cooper, that he felt good about Michael Gallup too, that they were going to practice, because obviously Michael Gallup coming off the IR, Amari Cooper with the hamstring. He said that CeeDee Lamb rolled his ankle in practice, didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, but should practice Friday. So we're still looking for that official practice report for Friday, see what happens there. Obviously his designation. If he does go, I think I'm trusting that they feel he's good enough, because they've been ultimately kind of conservative with their players. They've been, really good with that with Dak. So I think I'm going to trust if the staff thinks he's going to go out there in a game that they are very favored in. And, if they're going to get Gallup back, I don't know why they would feel the need to also put CeeDee Lamb in the roster if he's nursing an ankle that's serious. So I think that would be where I was at. If he's active, I'm playing the guy. He's good at football.
Also worth mentioning, Blake Jarwin dealing with a hip, remains sidelined, not looking like he's going to be coming back. This is decent news for Dalton Schultz rosterers. Johnny, do you have any different hesitations or different reads on this Dallas offense? We know Dak is probably coming back. That's looking good. Do you have any feelings on Dalton Schultz, on Amari Cooper, some familiar faces that we've liked a lot this season, but now we have new variables, new health concerns? I just wanted to get your take on Amari Cooper and Dalton Schultz.
I'm with Big Travie on this. I think it upticks. Cooper. We'll see how limited or what is the extent of CeeDee Lamb. I do think that Dalton Schultz being a better option now because of this information. So I do think that he's back on that streaming bandwagon because he'll get the bulk of the snaps there, which is what was kind of hindering him before of being that true potential, solid streamer moving forward. But yeah, as far as Cooper goes and everything, I second what Big Travi was saying.
Streamers moving forward is what you're going to need if you've been playing Noah Fant. He's been landed on the COVID list. You're going to have to find an alternative option. Good news as a tight end, though. So you're going to have some of those available on your waiver wire. I did want to know if this is a significant bump for Jerry Jeudy, Travis, who's coming back. This is nice. Cortland Sutton's there, but it's still Teddy Bridgewater. It's still the Broncos. But they also got rid of their best defensive player. Maybe they're looking to start losing some games, which is good for your offensive playmakers, specifically in fantasy. What do you think right now about the Noah Fant news and then Jerry Jeudy's impact from that?
Yeah, it should be a good game for Jerry Jeudy just on matchup alone. I think even if Fant was playing, we have a situation where Diggs should lock up Sutton, and we've seen this before in Dallas when your secondary wide receiver tends to have the better game against Dallas because Diggs is able to lock up the first wide receiver. So we'll see if that ends up being the situation here. Plus, he'll play from the slot and not have to see Diggs all that much at all. Also, though, I think you don't have to look very much further than the Denver roster if you had Noah Fant the last couple of weeks, because Albert O has been actually a guy that produces in this offense, and we've seen Teddy target the tight end quite a bit. But some of my favorite streamers, if they're still available, Tyler Conklin, Pat Freiermuth, guys you could pick up there.
Great take there. And we got Rock out here coming in.
Yeah.
Asking us a great question hitting us with a super chat, which means, you get a little bit of Ric Flair. Woo!
Let's go.
And he wants to know who he should drop. He's got Christian Kirk. I assume that's not Kirk Cousins. If it is, that's an easy question. It's Kirk Cousins. But Christian Kirk, Corey Davis, Rashad Bateman, Calladay, CMC off IR. Who do you drop? Any strong takes right off the bat? I don't love Rashad Bateman with this groin injury.
Is this Callaway or Galladay?
Corey Davis too.
I think it's Callaway, and
I think it's Callaway. Yeah,
and I think that might be who I would drop here.
Yeah,
Bateman, obviously, yes, the groin is scary, but I think he's still got a little bit more upside than Callaway.
I agree.
Well,
yeah. How did he do with Simeon? That's because
it was more
thing,
of right? Simeon. I was more of he at least in the small sample size he was going toward Deontay Harris, I believe, a little bit more if I'm not mistaken.
Do we have any? So I'm looking at these guys. I hear your point, Travi, on Rashad Bateman. I like the upside because he is a hot shit rookie coming in, and I like it. I like his skill set. I like the role that he's presumably going to have on the team. I think he could get healthy, and that would be really, really nice to see him in there. Callaway could be who we thought he was at the top of the year if Mark Simeon does like him and goes to him and he gets a little bit more leash from Sean Payton to air it out. That's a lot of ifs. Yeah. Corey Davis now there's 3 different quarterbacks who are all throwing the ball and we don't
and
really
he's
know.
been hurt and out.
He's been hurt.
So that Corey Davis would have been my second one to drop here. But I guess it's preference between the two. I think, I guess since Callaway has a pulse and is breathing right now, I guess I could see dropping Corey Davis to keep Callaway there for sure.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, Corey Davis is fine if you want to, but I would probably do Callaway. And I do think, I just have a feeling that that's where OBJ is going, is New Orleans. So that would bump him down as well. So I would be fine with Callaway or Corey Davis, one of those two.
And we've seen Corey Davis do it this year.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Callaway do it. It's still just cloud possibilities for Callaway. We've seen a preseason big play, right? We've seen a little flash. We haven't seen it in a game yet. So like that. And we're all loving Christian Kirk right now, especially with the injuries to the 2 other wide receivers or the lack of availability in Hopkins and AJ Green, right? Okay,
right.
Cool. Right on. Great question here, Rock Out. And thank you for the support, man. It goes a long way. All right, moving on. We've got Devontae Adams, Green Bay Packers wide receiver. He was activated from the reserve COVID list. Aaron Rodgers was added to the reserve COVID list. Jordan Love, we're going to see what this man is about. Travi, how are you feeling about Devontae Adams with Jordan Love chucking the ball and any other pass catchers there? We know we like A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones in this game. We expect to have a heavy run game, but real question marks now about what the passing attack is going to look like in Green Bay. What do you think, Travi?
Yeah, we don't know, but we do know this, that it was a long time ago, but in 2017, when Davante Adams was playing with Brent Hundley in that stretch of 5 or 6 games, he was the wide receiver 5. He was top 5 in targets. He continued to do his thing because we know in the NFL, targets are earned. And so you are a good wide receiver. You go out, you earn your targets. And that is, he's maybe the best at it in the league right now. So I am trusting Davante Adams in my lineup as the sole focal point of this passing attack. And like you said, it stops there. It goes with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon after that of players that I'm willing to start here. And yeah, this is a great matchup for wide receivers against Kansas City. They've been able to really – wide receivers have really been able to get after him. So I'm in on Davante Adams.
Love it. You're talking about great matchups for wide receivers. Brandon Cooks is going to have a better matchup no matter who he's playing because Tyrod Taylor is back. He's going to be starting in week 9, Johnny. We like Brandon Cooks? We liked him with anybody, really, barring the matchup, something crazy. And now with Tyrod Taylor coming back, we like him even more. Does this expand any other options for you? Is Tyrod Taylor a streamable candidate? Brandon Cooks, you were doing what you're doing with him already. You're just a little bit more excited about him, but I'm not starting any of the running backs. Are there any other pass catchers, though, that bear consideration for you now, given this news?
I'm actually not more excited that Tyrod's back. Because the thing was Mills was targeting Cooks on 50% of his dropbacks. So that was great.
Week 1 though was pretty nice. Tyrod Taylor and Brandon Cooks, they got down.
They did, and I'm not saying it's going to go away. That's the thing is Tyrod's going to still target. It's just nothing is going to change. You're still going to play him. He's a wide receiver 3 upside play every single week. Just because that offense is bad, that's why you would put that. Or if he was in a good offense, though, he'd be a wide receiver 2 play every single week. But you do like it that Tyrod is a little bit more competent at the quarterback to help sustain drives a little bit more. Or you would at least hope. And what
I think the bigger thing, you're right, he can sustain drives, but the bigger thing is the change in yards per reception for Brandon Cooks when Tyrod Taylor's on the field versus the Davis Mills, who's kind of a 26.4 yards per reception in week 1, and he never topped 14 after that without Tyrod Taylor in the lineup. So I think the big playability that's still within Brandon Cooks' wheelhouse is there now again with Tyrod Taylor.
I'm pretty stoked for it. Wide receiver 17 in PPR right now. I hope to see that going up, but we'll see. And that's also, I've got him in my league of records, so I'm really keeping my fingers crossed. Let's go, Brandon Cooks.
Miami's a great matchup this week, but Jacksonville will week 1 matchup, so everyone gives up big yardage to Jacksonville. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't expect a huge change though, in my opinion, from Brandon Cooks.
Well, then that's okay, right? That's okay because we got no change. We got the wide receiver 17. We're excited to see what's going to be happening moving forward. I don't know if we're as excited or we're just going to have to watch and see what Carlos Hyde does for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Upgraded to full participant on Thursday. James Robinson did not practice for a consecutive day on Thursday. He still sounds like he avoided serious injury. It doesn't sound, though, that James Robinson is going to be active. We'll stay tuned to news. Doesn't sound like it, but we expect a lot of opportunity for Carlos Hyde. We know we listen to Stepmom Lauren talk about Urban Meyer's love for Carlos Hyde. Travi, you've talked a lot about it. Johnny, are you firing up Carlos Hyde this week?
If you're desperate, you might need to. He's going to get the volume and not a great matchup at all.
On the scale of desperate to sneaky, where do you put Carlos Hyde?
Oh, this is way more on the desperate side. This is, if it's desperate is 1 and sneaky is 10, this is a 2. On the
really?
Desperate. Yeah.
Are you being cute or are you being serious with that?
I'm being serious. Well, it's again, he's going to get the volume, but he's not productive. He's not super efficient. You saw you saw them giving the ball to Carlos Hyde and how bad it looked. And then James Robinson comes in. It looks like a breath of fresh air. And they were still hesitant on putting Robinson in the game full term or reluctant to let him carry the load there. I
think the biggest thing for me would be in PPR. If you picked him up as a desperation, like saying your RB3 or your flex, I like that he saw 8 targets. He caught 6 of them last week in a game that was negative game script, which is likely the case this week against Buffalo. Buffalo, a very bad matchup on the ground, but again, how long before Buffalo is 2 scores up and they're just leaning on anything they can in the passing game for Jacksonville? So I actually think he's a decent play in PPR, and then in standard, I'm fading him if I can.
I like that a lot. Those 8 targets, 4 times his season high. That's the only thing really giving him some extra consideration for me. Travi, I'm staying over with
Oh,
you for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, here we go. You there?
Henry Ruggs as the Raiders Z receiver. Waller's coming back. Josh Jacobs looks like he's going to be active. Zay Jones is going to be involved more than he has all season. Any consideration for you?
No, but I think he is a stash. I've been talking about Zay Jones the last couple of days here. I think that he is a stash, even probably more than Bryan Edwards, because I think he actually slides more into the Henry Ruggs role than Bryan Edwards will, or get more targets. I really am with the line of thinking that this actually concentrates to Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and the guys that, Derek Carr has already leaned on, as opposed to somebody else coming out of the woodwork here. I think we're going to get what we know the Raiders to be and kind of stick with that. So, I mean, there's just so much swirling around this team. I don't imagine that we're going to see a ton of offensive firepower here. I think they're going to do what they have to do to run the ball and check it down to the people they need to, and try and get out of here without too much emotion spent.
I agree with that take. Moving over to the other side of the country, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is optimistic to play this week against the Texans. Cannot be said the same thing, though, for Devontae Parker. Had a setback, dealing with a hamstring and a shoulder injury. Doesn't look like he's going to be playing. Johnny, is this an uptick for Gesicki and Waddle for you? How much do you like the pass catchers and playmakers in Miami this week against Houston?
I really like Gesicki this week. I mean, that's not a surprise. Gesicki's been playing really well. He's been a top 5 tight end. Think that continues. Waddle, they'll get him the ball. Obviously, they're dealing with a lot of injuries as far as that wide receiver group, and we know that Waddle becomes that really heavily targeted wide receiver when those two are out, and as far as Fuller and Parker. So I do think that Waddle is startable in this game, but do temper your expectations, because Houston's actually a little bit more stout at the cornerback position and not as fantasy friendly as we would hope, as their record would indicate, one would say. And so just know that. But PPR, he should get enough volume to float him. And then Gesicki, I think you're definitely get him in your lineup.
Right on. Those are great bits of information. We got some question marks. The quarterbacking position and then the wide receiver position a little bit in New Orleans, Travis, because Trevor Siemian is going to be getting the start. The line coming out was it's not a surprise considering how poised he was in relief last week. But it's still unclear if Siemian is starting because of how poised he was, or Taysom Hill's brain just isn't where it needs to be just yet. Regardless, it's going to be Trevor next week. What does this do to you for the rest of the playmakers in New Orleans outside of Alvin Kamara?
I was going to say Alvin Kamara truthers breathe a sigh of relief, because they know how his pass catching had gone down with Taysom Hill in the lineup in the 4 games last year. So that's kind of what we're
rushing
hearing
touchdown upside.
Yes, exactly. That's not going to be maybe robbed from Taysom Hill. I'm interested to see if there's a budding chemistry here with Deontay Harris, or even Traquan Smith or Marquez Callaway. I want to see another sample size of that. I wouldn't be willing to start any of these guys this week without enough of the volume to project it. I'm also interested to watch the backfield split. Mark Ingram came in on a short week against a tough defense and only had about 8 touches in that game. I'd like to see what happens with that backfield going forward, because we could see they did trade to go get him. So I want to see what they think that does. And with Siemian, he's not going to steal rushes from the backfield. So that means that this offense could just go completely run heavy with the 2 backs. So we'll see what that kind of looks like.
We're going to wait and see what it looks like in New York this week. It's been a bit of a mystery box every single week of which wide receiver is going to be suiting up. But we had so many we've liked, right, Johnny? We loved Kenny Golladay coming into the start of the year. Sterling Shepard was just a target monster early on. Now we got Kadarius Toney, who's looking like, the new Percy Harvin out in the world. But then we still got Saquon Barkly, who's hurt all the time, not coming back this week, ankle, out of practice, going to be out week 9. Looks like he took an L on the sneakers app with his new set of Nike exclusive trainers coming out. Not feeling good about that, so he's going to think about it on the sidelines. Kadarius Toney's looking likely to play. He's got a thumb issue, but everybody's hurt. Everybody's banged up. Everybody's moving around to different positions. Evan Ingram caught his first touchdown of the year last week. Who do you like in New York, Johnny, with all this news that's circulating? There's so much. Are you starting anybody with confidence, or is it pure desperation if you are?
Tony was actually just removed from the Giants injury report, so that is great news. You are firing up Tony. You're trying to acquire Tony. Go get him. If he's on your waiver, go pick him up. He is the only guy that I'm confident in starting this week, and I think that he really, truly has a very big second half in him, and he's the one I'm most excited about with Sterling Shepard, who, probably out for a decent amount of time. Kenny G still dealing with that hyperextended knee. He'll be back after the bye, but even then, that connection wasn't truly there between Danny Dimes and Kenny G yet. So I really like Tony moving forward, and with your Saquon out, fire up Booker. I think he's a RB2. I mean, he's been an RB2 every single week with Saquon out. Won't change this week.
Won't change this week, but it will change in San Francisco because all of their positions change all the time, it seems like. Travis, and I wanted to get your take
Just
here
now,
on the running back
Devontae
situation.
Parker put placed on injured reserve after suffering a setback in practice.
So we talked about that setback, and now we know that it was significant. We won't see him for at least 3 weeks. Prayers up for Devontae Parker. It's been fun to watch what he's done in limited action this year. It's always too bad.
I'm just getting such Sterling Shepard vibes from Devontae Parker. When they're there, we love them, and then they can't stay healthy. Feel for both of those guys. Also, really quick, Austin, I want to get to your question, but we did get another update on Calvin Ridley that they put him on the non-injury related IR, so at least 3 weeks out. At least 3 weeks out for Ridley. That's what we do now.
Great update. At least 3 weeks then for Calvin Ridley. We'll be monitoring this story whenever development occur.
Gives those Ridley owners an opportunity to IR. Maybe we got to see how these situations work. So don't just go ahead and cut them just yet if you still have them.
And don't go ahead and just cut out of the program. We're going to be getting through the rest of the topics here and then getting all of your questions answered, Whisper Nation. And if you're enjoying what you're listening to and you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting for, man? It's a great show. We do it all the time. It just makes everybody's life easier. And if you like this program specifically, we'd really love getting a thumbs up from you. And if you're new to the show, just say what's up in the comments, man. It's just great to actually connect with other fantasy football fans around the world. Travis, we're talking about San Francisco, where John Lynch said Jeff Wilson could be activated from the PUP list and actually play week 9 against the Cardinals. Hasn't played this season since suffering a knee injury back in May, so it's great to see him coming back. Might not be so great for the fantasy implications, though. I want to get your take on those. We got Elijah Mitchell. He's dealing with ribs. Is expected to participate in the practices after being a did not participate earlier. Deebo Samuel's calf, he was officially limited. So I need to know what you're thinking from the pass catchers as well as the running backs, because someone's going to get some. Who is it going to be?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we've seen in Shanahan's system, that there are veins in the system that produce well for fantasy. So we have to figure out who they are. Well, we know it's Deebo. If Deebo plays, it's really if he goes, you're starting him, I think, in Deebo. And then if he doesn't go, then Ayuk sees a really nice uptick. The biggest thing wasn't the numbers for Ayuk, where he hit all of his season high in targets and yardage and receptions, all that stuff, and even in points. The biggest thing is this block that he made for Elijah Mitchell, where he came across the field and ran and showed great hustle and blocked for Elijah Mitchell. And the reason I say that is because Shanahan finally in a press conference was like, he worked his butt off. He did great. He said nice things about Brandon Ayuk. So for all of you that have been dealing with the emotional stress of Brandon Ayuk the whole season, hang a little tight here, because I do think if you picked him up off waivers, he's a nice stash. I know I've said that a million times, but if Shanahan's going to finally see that these hustle plays are getting there for Ayuk, then he's going to have a better view of Ayuk, and then maybe we could see more down the stretch. But if Deebo doesn't go, we like Ayuk in this game because he'd be the guy I think that would step up for him.
We reference coach speak a lot because we get a lot of coach speak, and we had the pleasure of asking former NFL coach Hugh Jackson on the mock draft marathon back in July about coach speak and how much sincerity we should take from a coach approaching the microphone. And what he said was there's always an ulterior motive. They might be saying the truth, but it's a coincidence if they are. They're using this language to try to either hype somebody up or get somebody thinking a different type of way, throw defenses off, whatever it might be. With Kyle Shanahan, though, Travis, you've called this before. Dude is emotional. right?
Yeah.
And like, I think he likes to flex a little bit on his guys, and I think he likes to let people know that he's the boss.
Ask Dante Pettis.
Yeah. He's a younger dude, right? Like, it makes
Yeah.
sense that he'd like want to be jockeying a little bit in this room, especially when he's got maybe it's like daddy's boy kind of thing coming in. I don't want to go that far with it because I don't know the man, but I do know that he does seem to be emotional and does like to play these little like power string things. And when he's making the comments about Ayuk and, oh, he's not bad, the other guy's just good and all this stuff, it does seem like he is having a bit of reflection.
It's a motivation tactic, and it can be a motivation tactic still to say that he hustled and did great in this game, because now he's like, hey, I'm reaffirming your good behavior. You need to go and continue to do this and stay. I want to touch on the backs real quick because obviously Elijah Mitchell missing practice on Wednesday. He did get a limited blue jersey, meaning non-contact practice on Thursday. And that's good news, because I think what they're trying to do is ramp him up, similar to what they were trying to say they were doing with Kittle, is like ease him into it. I think Mitchell will remain, even if Wilson gets activated and is it playing in this game, Mitchell will remain the basically the rushing bell cow, meaning he's going to get all the rushing work. And then you'll see a situation where JaMychal Hasty gets involved on the passing down, and maybe even Jeff Wilson, because he's shown receiving chops too. Hold your Jeff Wilson shares. He should have been picked up on waivers, as we said earlier this week, because should Eli Mitchell go down, Jeff Wilson, we saw, was RB26 in relief last year.
Great stats, great advice. I would follow that to a T if it's available. Moving now to our last team on the show today. It's the Tennessee Titans, where we're going to be talking about the eternal one to start off this conversation. Adrian Peterson has been promoted to the active roster after impressing the Titans. I don't know, he impressed him like with his video message on when he was like on his way over or something, because that sure happened quick. I don't think there was ever any hesitation when they said they were going to be activating him even before they saw him work out. So true or not, I would be saying this kind of news as well. I'd want my opponent fearing my new signed halfback. But it's also encouraging. It's I wouldn't take it with a ton of sincerity, but I'm definitely going to feel encouraged by it. I definitely enjoy seeing this. I mean, I'm going to be curious to watch what happens, and I'm going to be excited to watch a familiar face come out and do his thing, one of the all-time greats. Johnny, what's your take on this, and do you feel comfortable rolling out Adrian Peterson simply based on the news and the signing?
Yeah, I feel confident that you can roll him out there and play him this week. I do, and I am interested in Jeremy McNichols and how much they use him. Now, Jeremy McNichols is not been a guy that has been given a lot of opportunity, but he certainly is built for that line of opportunity. He's a good pass-catching running back, so I do think, because this could be a potential shootout, I do think that Tannehill could do a lot more dink and dunk. I do think in a PPR league, I'm willing to roll out McNichols, but in like standard and half PPR, I do have a lot more confidence in Adrian Peterson as a start over McNichols this week.
Fair logic, fair logic. And the last subject here, kicking it to Travie, Julio Jones picked up a second consecutive limited practice yesterday. Looks like he's trending in the right direction, but we know this doesn't mean he's going to be in 100%. Doesn't mean he's going to be 100%. What's your confidence level on Julio Jones and the fantasy impacts, and your confidence level sliding him into your lineup?
Yeah, I was initially trying to figure out a way to get Julio in my lineup, because I figured, Tennessee's going to throw a little bit more in this game. They're going to have to throw to keep up with the Rams. But the limited practice kind of bugs me. It's a late Sunday night game. I think we talked about this on the matchup show. If you were able to pivot to like a Van Jefferson, and I don't know, maybe even he might not be on waivers. Darnell Mooney, maybe, if you could pivot because he plays Monday, then maybe I'd be willing to do it. But Julio kind of feels like a trap a little bit to me right now. Given the fact that they have a great secondary in LA, this is a very tough matchup for them. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
All right. Well, you heard it there. We are all the way through the news and notes from the NFL this week. We like that. And if you like what you've been listening to, you know the drill already. Go ahead and hit that quick button. It's been great to have you with us, though, Whisper Nation. And we've been getting through all of the fantasy relevant questions. Now it's time to get to the non-relevant questions. Well, they're still relevant, just not at – it's a new topic. It's a new conversation. We're getting to all your questions starting up at the top here. So – bringing it up here. Austin, did you see the last Rodgers comments? I didn't, but I'm just so freaking fuming at this guy who I've been just in love with for the majority of my life. And there's a lot of conversations in there that would take up too much time on this show. So it's a developing story, and I will stay connected through all the ups and the downs. So Mr. Miyagi here, Johnny's got a quarterback dilemma. Tannehill, Tua, Cousins, Tyrod. I guess it's not a question. It's just a statement, and it's true.
And it's true.
What's up, Eagle Fang? Great to have you with us over here. All right, Brock has a question.
Oh, Eagle Fang, by the way. Eagle Fang, newest member of the Patreon. Appreciate you. He's in the $10 tier, so he'll be in the drawing for this Joe Mixon
great segue
jersey.
That's a great thing to bring up, Johnny, because we have the Patreon, the Fantasy Whispers. You search that in Patreon, going to bring up our page. If you subscribe at the $10 level, that automatically enters you into the monthly signed jersey giveaway. We also do packs of cards. We also do, there's a lot of other great pieces of memorabilia and things that get given away. But we also, my favorite one personally is that signed jersey. Last week it was Damian Harris. Week before that, Keenan Allen. This week it is Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
What's that?
Month before that. We don't do it weekly. We do it monthly, but I
monthly. That's right, man. I just get so excited. It feels like, time flies when you're having fun. And I've been having fun with those jersey giveaways. So it's months, but it feels like weeks. This month is Joe Mixon though, right? Yep. So anything else they need to do besides signing up at the $10 level?
That's it. You get extra bonus content as well, but you more importantly get to help out the channel, help us keep producing more and more fantasy football content. Keep helping get you that W and get you that championship throughout the year. So
that's right. So go ahead and sign up. Brock wants to know. He's 7-1. Way to go. 10-team PPR, 2 flexes. Trade Amari McKissick for Terry McLaurin. His running backs are Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Zach Moss, Myles Gaskin. His wide receivers are Devontae Adams, excuse me. Deebo Samuel, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Goodwin, and Amari Cooper. Would you do this, Travis?
No, I wouldn't do this deal.
I don't mind deal, but I just you don't to do this deal.
I would try and do it for Amari for Terry straight up. If you want to try and do that, I don't mind. But I don't think piecing McKissick, who's a nice, valuable asset with a, we've called him a ticking time bomb in Gibson because of the shin, could be on his last leg, metaphorically and physically. So that's something we need to keep in mind, that McKissick's value is kind of only going up right now.
I think I'll just give my take on this one. I am interested to know about Johnny's on this because he has also been a big, he's called it ahead of time, talking about Jarrett Patterson's, talked about the shin there. We saw Jarrett Patterson coming in and actually getting work. We saw Antonio Gibson getting work. We have their bye now coming up. It really feels like, you're talking about a ticking time bomb. It seems like they just keep adding time onto the clock of that bomb. It seems like trying to extend it almost to the end of the year, taking down his snaps, giving them to Jarrett Patterson, but not turning it over, not putting him on the IR. Now we got the bye, though, so that's going to heal him up a little, not fully, but it's going to buy him a little more time. I like Travis's take. I think McKissick is almost the highest upside running back on this team if it stays this 3-headed committee.
I mean, I don't know if he has the highest ceiling. We'll see. Obviously, I don't know who would get the goal line. Would be because if Patterson could get the goal line work added with what he would be getting rushing, then that
doesn't make him the higher upside though. I don't think that makes him higher upside than McKissick, especially in PPR. Even if he's getting goal line, how much
in goal line and I'm saying if he's getting 15 per game that Gibson's getting and goal line work, he has a higher ceiling than McKissick does getting the pass catching work in the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, if you view it as a straight replacement for Gibson, I would agree with that one. This was framed up if Gibson
as of right now though, as of right this moment though, like Travis said, I wouldn't be trade and McKissick for Terry right now, especially because you're okay from the wide receiver stand and that Deion and Godwin are almost always in your lineup. Devo right now in a PPR league is just absolutely smashing it. Yeah. So I don't even know where you would fit in Terry right now. It doesn't make much sense for me to advise to do that.
Understood. Moving on here over to Andre Silva. What's going on, man? Javonte or Galladay if he plays?
I don't think he is going to play, but either way, it would have been Javonte would have been my answer.
Yeah, me too. How we feeling about Waddle or Tony in the flex? We've got Tony. Let's say Tony does play. Looks like he is. Let's just solidify that. Waddle now doesn't have Devontae Parker over there, who is also getting a lot of targets. What do you think now?
Ooh, a tough one.
Right?
My heart says go with Tony. He has a higher upside. He's been a more explosive player. And you don't really necessarily love the map for Waddle. Probably where I would go. But even Tony has been removed off the injury report. I can understand if you want to go Waddle. I think Waddle has a safer floor. I think Tony has the higher ceiling.
Love that big playability from Tony, which we haven't seen yet out of Jalen Waddle.
Yep.
Whisper a tip. It's good to have you with us, Slim Reaper. This is great. Moving forward. Slim Reaper just traded Gaskin for Moss. Thanks, Travi.
I love that. Yeah, great job.
Made that recommendation earlier.
Nice.
So we touched on this one, Shaw. Thoughts on CMC? Coach said he will be on limited snaps. He is. We would still start CMC over Chuba. Still monitor the situation. Would you start, like, if you had like a like you had an RB2, Johnny, maybe say like a
Williams,
like a Zach Moss. Would you start CMC in limited action or a Zach Moss?
I'm going CMC.
On CMC, going with that upside of CMC. That's totally understandable.
Because I think it's like half of a CMC is 30 points, like 10 plus fantasy points. I think even if he's like 40%, which I don't think they would roll him out at 40%, but let's per se he's 40% health. I still think at 40% health, he's still getting 10 fantasy points. Zach Moss, sure, he could get you 10 fantasy points, and he probably will in this matchup, but it's going to be a little bit more, you're sweating it out. Also, is that ceiling still high for Zach Moss, where I just think CMC playing him.
I'm where I can bench CMC, I would, wait and see has been my mantra in a lot of these returning games. I just think there are so many possibilities. Like, he himself might not be able to explode in the way that he could, and he might not get near the amount of opportunity that he could. He could hit, but there's also a chance on limited snaps and not 100% where he's just kind of a dud. But I get it. And I'd almost kind of hope that I had to start CMC. Like, I would almost hope that I didn't have an option I was considering, because I really want to see CMC back and I want to see him pop. I would just temper those expectations. There are a handful of variables in his way, but it's arguably the best running back in the world. So it's tough to not play him if he's actually going to be playing.
Yeah.
Blue, good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon to you. Blue, pick one. Evan
Blue?
Ingram, Conklin, Dan Arnold, or Freiermuth. Half-point PPR, 10 team.
Travis loves Freiermuth this week.
I know he does.
Was
He's been
this
getting an
PPR?
uptick.
It's a half
point.
PPR. Hold on.
I like a lot of. I like Dan Arnold too. He's been on fire with Jacksonville.
Some decent.
Freiermuth has been doing good. Conklin's on the up. Ingram had that touchdown.
All right. So I'll give. All right. He's got Ingram, Conklin, Dan Arnold, and Freiermuth. Yeah, I'm probably going Freiermuth.
I think I'm going in reverse order of how these are presented.
Yeah.
Freiermuth, Dan, Conklin, Ingram.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to.
All right. Is Ertz a good play then? Oscar asked. We got to this earlier. Yes, we like him. We like him most weeks as like that mid-level startable tight end, and we really like him with the vacated targets expected with Hopkins and AJ Green out this week. AJ Green we know is out. Hopkins is looking like he might go that direction. All right.
I'm actually gonna. Sorry, this is a second late, but I just wanted to look up one other thing. I would actually go Evan Ingram. I'd stay in the flames with Evan Ingram. It sounds gross, I know, but Las Vegas is top 6 in against the tight end position so far this season. and the Bears are actually second against tight ends this season. So I wouldn't go Freiermuth this week. I would go Ingram. It's
All
not
right.
great. Doesn't sound sexy at all, but that would be the
it's a
matchup
tight
you'd
end.
take. Yeah.
You know, it's a tight end on this one. And I think we all got different feelings. I'm going to borrow some language from stepmom Lauren. For me, these options are really so close. I would go with my gut. And if my gut wasn't telling me anything, I'd call my grandma. And I don't care. My grandma doesn't even know football. I would just say, Grandma, which name do you like the best? We're in this together. Let's go, Grandma. And I'd let her pick, and I'd go with that. These options are all so close. Obviously, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 finishes at the end of the week. I'm not surprised really with any of those orders. That's not a cop-out. It's just these are all in an equal probable position to have similar types of outputs. I'd ask
Conklin does have the best matchup of all guys. Yeah. Dang it. I'm going to pivot. This is terrible. All right. Blue, you're still with us, hanging with us. Ultimate decision here. I'm going Conklin. That's my third and final decision. He has the best matchup of all of them against Baltimore, and he's been used the most over the last couple of weeks. Conklin. That's
and
it.
then maybe
Final
Ingram?
Just
all
lock
right.
it in.
It's
yeah.
Conklin.
And then
that's done. He's locking it in.
Ingram would be second on that one.
NPR wants to know if we should trade JJ and Higgins for Austin Eckler to be a win or a loss. JJ being
is this Justin Jefferson and Higgins?
I hope
it's Justin Jefferson,
Julio Jones.
It could be
JJ Taylor.
Let us know who JJ is. NPR. Hopefully it's not Justin Jefferson. If it's Justin Jefferson and Higgins for Eckler, I think you took the L on that one. Even though I'm a huge Eckler fan, I think it'll be okay. But you gave up a lot. But running. That's
any concern with Eckler and the hip?
There is concern there. But again,
be smart to get off that maybe if you're truly concerned and you don't think he finishes out the year. I mean,
I don't know if it's to that extent. Is the only thing I do need to look into this a little bit more, and I'll have better on Sunday. If you tune in live Sunday, I'll do a little bit more research side of the hip injury and can give some feedback on that. But I haven't heard anything that it's like super, super serious. Is the only thing is why I'm not too concerned, but it's like something that's in the back of my head.
Yeah. It probably is Justin Jefferson.
It probably is, and I hope not. Because that's a lot that you just gave up for Eckler. But
in PPR, full point PPR, does it change it at all?
Yeah,
Eckler's
it makes it worse.
so good right now.
Oh, I know how good. Yeah, top 4 running back right now, especially in PPR. But Justin Jefferson is like he gets a lot of targets. He team and target market share. Higgins, expect him to come around over second half, but he's still seeing like 18% of his team's target market share. So again, also the other this is it really depends on who his other wide receivers are. Because like
so he answered us.
My PPR. Oh, it's PPR. So Kyler, AJ Brown, Mike Williams, Kittle, and Henderson. I might have tried to do like Mike Williams, and that's what I would have tried to go like Mike Williams and Higgins for Eckler. I would have tried that, but obviously you probably worked with them or he or she or you made this deal with, and that was probably ultimately what they wanted. So I don't think it's the worst thing. Again, you're getting a really good piece and a good running back at that. It's just the slight injury concern for me, the hip injury. But again, I haven't seen anything that would lead me to that it's mega serious, but I'll do some more research on it and I can certainly let you know.
That's a really tough variable to make a part of the equation because it's like, okay, if this hip issue is real and he's not going to finish the year as strongly as he started it, it's a major downgrade. But I can't call that right now. It's just not enough information to make a realistic call. And so if he's active, he's playing well, he's a top 5 back on a competitive team, you just got the best piece in the trade. And in a team where I think that game flow and expectations and necessity for Austin Eckler are going to continue to rise as the Chargers keep trying to fight through that division and earn themselves a playoff spot. Austin Eckler there's nobody behind him. There's Jackson, Roundtree, nobody else is going to fill in for that role. So hopefully he stays healthy for all kinds of reasons and for your team here too. Trying to get through all of the questions here. Got a lot of love coming in, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What up, Gus? So good to have you here. Oh, snap. Look at this, Gus. Speaking of, just signed up with Patreon.
Yeah.
Whoa, all right.
Appreciate you, Gus.
Woo! Now, I know that we didn't just get hit with the super chat, but it's equivalent to that. And it's our boy, Gus. So we got to go ahead and hit him with a clean woo!
Yeah,
that's much appreciated, man. That's awesome. And now you are entered into the drawing for that signed Joe Mixon jersey that we'll be giving away live on air, probably Monday night again in a few weeks for next month. We just gave away Damian Harris. That was super fun. And Keenan Allen the month before that. We're going to have another jersey giveaway the month after Joe Mixon's giveaway. So guys, sign up. And here's my last pitch on that one. Truth be told, little spoiler alert, there's not a lot of people in the $10 Patreon, which means you've got a really good shot at getting an autographed NFL jersey for just $10. And if you miss this month, next month, it's the same automatic drawing that you get entered in. And even if you go 10 months without hitting, that's $100. Then you could get a signed autographed NFL jersey. That's a crazy, crazy bargain. And you're supporting the independent fantasy football podcast that we're running, and you get a lot of great extra content that comes your way as well on top of automatically being entered for that signed NFL jersey. That's really
link is in the description below this video to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/the fantasy whispers, and we greatly appreciate the support.
Really do though, man. Like it makes us it goes a long way. Really appreciate that, man. Truly epic, not just to be said about Gus Ramos's gesture here, but his name is, and he wants to know if Derek Carr or Tua should be starting at quarterback this week. Tua apparently has a hand injury he's dealing with. He does. He looked like he's trending in the right direction. Who would you start though? I think this is a really good one.
Depending any worse information coming out about that hand, I'm going Tua. I'm gonna play Tua.
Yep,
this
both lost their number one wide receivers this week for very different reasons, but they're both in that same kind of position. I do like the upside of Tua and what he has shown us as of late. Speaking of that wide receiver, Zay Jones is going to be filling him in, and MB wants to know if he should be starting him or Tajay Sharp.
I would play Tajay over Zay Jones this week. I do expect, like we've been talking about, Zay Jones, Travis was on this from day one, Zay Jones taking the Ruggs role. However, he wasn't getting a lot of targets his way, and it's a very risky move. Whereas Tajay is taking the Ridley role, and we know that even though it's not as high voluminous of an offense as the Raiders, there's a lot less that he has to compete with because he is running that X alpha role. So he's going to see 8 targets just walking into it. And so that's why I would go with Tajay. He has a safer floor, and I think his ceiling is about the same as Zay Jones, even if Zay Jones does hit on a long bomb.
I agree with everything that you just said over here. Gus, a little comment. I picked up OBJ. Hopefully somewhere good. It's cool that you picked him up. I think that's the smart thing. If he's available, pick him up. We'll see where he lands. Could be some productive season-ending finishings. Could be a really nice playoff piece once he's acclimated to the team. If he does land on a squad and he's healthy and the rapport builds. A lot of ifs, but the outcome would be really, really nice for you, and you just got him for free.
It's great that you got it. I'll be honest. Big Travie won't like to say it. That's why I'll say it without him on it. But I would do kind of like the traders say right now. I'd sell the rumor, or buy the rumor, sell the news. So I would keep up that high. You got him for nothing. I would go around to try to shop him with somebody else. With an added piece to really upgrade and just really hammer home. Hey, he could go to a great juicy spot, because most likely he's not going to go to a great spot and it's not going to be super beneficial. Then you have to also say, is he actually the good receiver that we think he is, or is he actually what his numbers produced? So I would buy the rumor, sell the news on this kind of stuff.
All fair questions. And I sell the news. I like that. I say sell hype. I sell hype for production every chance I get. Hype is so much sexier, and it's what if, but it rarely works out. Sometimes it does, and that's the stories we hang our what if on, but it doesn't happen that often. Trade hype for substance. Always do that, and don't even feel bad if the hype ends up coming through. It's the smart bet. Gus here with a comment. Tough week for me. Was a Henry owner. Now my RBs are Damian Harris, Javonte Williams, and AJ Dillon. I'll tell you, man, not a horrible set of substitutions. You're never going to replace Derrick Henry. But this could be a lot worse. For you.
I'll tell you what, if my running backs look like that and I lost my number one running back, I would still feel pretty solid about myself. It would suck, but it would definitely suck. You have a decent backup plan there.
Yeah, you got a lot of reasons to feel good every week. You give yourself a competitive chance. I don't care who your opponent is with that lineup there. Andrew, what's up, man? Thanks for joining the show.
Andrew?
Mike Davis or Jarvis Landry for my flex. This is PPR, Johnny.
I'm going Jarvis. Just, without OBJ, we talked about the targets, right? That Jarvis saw without OBJ in the lineup, like 11, 10, 9. Mm-hmm. He's seeing 8+ targets without OBJ in the lineup, and especially in a PPR. Mike Davis is slowly. We're saying don't drop him yet.
And he gets an uptick on the targets too with Calvin Ridley gone, right?
He does, because he actually turns back into the somewhat normal running back, right? Because they split out Cordero as a wide receiver half the time, which makes it to where Mike Davis is getting 6 targets a game because he's that kind of running back. So yes, you're absolutely right. Mike Davis has the safer floor, but I think Jarvis is we put out for Patreon, we do an extra show where we do a face-off. I'll just let you know, we talked about Baker Mayfield as one of those, sit-start decisions. I just have this gut feeling. I have this gut feeling because I know Baker. Other than Aaron Rodgers, probably Baker Mayfield is probably the biggest.
He wants to juice Landry.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, not only that, but he wants to. You don't think Baker wants to prove to OBJ's dad this weekend? Oh, you think it was me and not your son that was actually bad? I'll show you. Without your boy, I'm going to continue to dominate like I always have without your boy in the game. And I just think, and it's also across
town. Has Baker dominated before?
Yeah. He's been without OB. That was the whole thing coming into the season. Everyone was talking about this as a point, and it was like, oh, is it the system? Why are these two off? But the reality is you look at the stats. Cleveland's offense is better without OBJ in the lineup. They get more. They're more productive. They flow a lot better. There's not as many forced targets towards OBJ that don't connect. This offense is much more improved without OBJ in it than with him in there. And then you got a matchup this weekend, which is a rivalry game in the state of Ohio. So you don't think do not be shocked if OBJ comes out and has just probably the best game of the season this Sunday. I just have a feeling.
I feel you on that one.
He's
very emotional. He's got an ego. He's been in an abrasive dynamic with his star wide receiver since he's really gotten there. And yeah, last year, Johnny, that's the way that Baker Mayfield finished was one of the reasons I liked him as a sleeper candidate at the quarterbacking position coming in this year. Maybe not a sleeper, but a viable, deeper option you could pick up. You saw him last year, in week 13 on 334 yards, 343 yards, near 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. In week 7 over there, he had 5 touchdowns. That was the first real game that Odell was out. So it could really happen. I like that pickup. I like the Landry recommendation on this one based on all of those emotional and story-driven narratives, which are a little bit qualitative, but sometimes qualitative points are the biggest ones that end up shining through and show real shifts in the overall production. I like that take. I would go Jarvis Landry just because of all of those ingredients and almost in this explosive kind of dynamic. All right, here. Do we have any more questions? I don't know. Mr. Miyagi doesn't know how to use Patreon. We'll have to show you. Show him Eagle Fang. Yeah, thank you for this.
Yeah.
We can help you hook up on that one. We've got the links over in the bio. Is that right, Johnny?
Yeah, links are in the description below. If you just click on it, it'll take you to the Patreon page, and it's just basically a subscription service that helps us as content creators. We upload to that as well, the extra content, as well as you get access to extra Discord groups where we also place that content. So you don't necessarily have to always go to the Patreon in order to get that source of extra content. We do post it as well in the Discord that you get access to once you are a Patreon subscriber. So
Love
it's just
seeing
a pay service.
Love seeing Eagle Fang coming in and helping out. I love seeing like
Appreciate
the
you.
cross communication, cross talk with Whisper Nation. It's a true community. You know, we want to make a community where people feel like they belong, they can be themselves, and enjoy the company of other fantasy football enthusiasts, and just get them really going.
Got to give them a shout out. I mean, like they're all like chatting in the chat, and like it's fun, man. It really makes our show fun and gives us a lot of energy, and we love it. Like you said, building up a community of people that really enjoy the game and love to be here with us. So appreciate you all.
Pick 2, Johnny. CeeDee Lamb, Kadarius Toney, Rashad Bateman.
I'm going Toney and Lamb.
Yep. Keep an eye out for injury news for all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But first 2 for me as well.
Yeah. And also tune in Sunday morning, 90 minutes before kickoff. We will be live streaming this week. Promise. We'll get it right.
Daylight savings time.
It will have happened, and we will make sure we're good. We're good for the show. So we'll be live 90 minutes before kickoff to answer all your latest sit starts. So make sure you join us. Hit that subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notified right when we go live. Makes it easy.
And Johnny gave it all there. This is the end of the show, Whisper Nation. It's been great to spend the Friday afternoon with you. If you've enjoyed what you're listening to and you haven't hit the subscribe or the like button for this episode in particular, and you like what you're listening to, do us a favor, go ahead and hit those buttons. And if you'd like the Joe Mixon jersey autographed and you want to get a chance at putting it in your closet, join the Patreon at the $10 level. We're going to be giving away the signed Joe Mixon jersey in a couple of weeks on the Monday night live reaction show. Last month it was Damian Harris, Joe Mixon this month, and we got a new one coming up next month. It's an automatic raffle along with all the sports card giveaways, extra content, Discord access, and a lot of really great come-ups that come along with being a Patreon subscriber. But, man, it's just great to have everybody here with us. Good luck on your upcoming games. Johnny, is there any closing words you have to share with Whisper Nation before we get on with the rest of the day?
Nope. Just have a great weekend. Appreciate you, Austin. Appreciate Whisper Nation. And, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday once more. One more time. Let's get a shout-out. Nyheim Hines, baby.
There you go. Great call again, Johnny. And shout out to Travis, who was with us at the top of the show and had to get on to some other activities here. But it is great to see you. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Austin Sear. That's Johnny Game Time Hicks. We're the Fantasy Whispers, and we're out.
Peace.
Right here.
Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. If you still have a lot to say about fantasy football, maybe you want to give Johnny a little bit of crap for his take today, then go on over to our Discord channel and join the conversation there. Click the link in the description below. And if you still want more content, check out one of these videos.